among all our fragmented professions, we lack a common voice.
Also, I feel like people have their own small cocoons, and whenever we even call for barazas to come and discuss, people would not show up or would come and not maybe try to be very prime and proper. No one wants to say, I've had no projects in the last 3 months.
Do we really need regulations for our profession? Because they limit us. They also limit us.
Now you see, these emerging professions also want to have their own code of conduct with their own minimum fees, below which it's misconduct. Let's say the senior most profession is architecture because it takes 6 years.
Dangerous word.
By the year.
Is it a senior most?
That's a point of
confusion. And I'm an architect. I would not say senior most because now we are. I mean, they're so different. You can't say a banana cannot be an orange. they're so different. Why should their sweat, the money from their sweat, be valued? Yet I'm also sweating doing your work. I should earn the money as well.
So that you do not say, you don't run behind my back and tell the client, I know another cheaper. Because where do these things originate? See, it is within the profession. So for me, I think the engineers who are trying to form a union should reconsider that position.
We actually have a lot of associations. We've counted all over, I think, 15 associations.
So you carry your degree on one hand,
yes,
and you carry the press on the other.
Isn't that what doctors did?
For the assistants,
nurses, teachers.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe we do need more niche professions. It's good because sometimes you do need to advocate for things that only affect your profession and push it.
That it takes too long for you to become a recognized engineer, even after graduating.
Yes.
It takes too long. So there is a certain quota that the person releasing the qualified engineers in the market is throttling. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful day to have another episode of Mjengo podcast. And with me is architect Brenda Nyawara. Karibu sana.
Asante.
I'm excited about this show.
Me too.
I hope you are. And urban designer Brenda Ngoya. And today we are planning to discuss a topic that is dear to many consultants, many professionals, and even people who consume the services of the built industry in terms of architects, designers, contractors, and the public at large. So we welcome comments on the podcast so that we can be able to take it up and keep the show exciting. Karibu sana. Maybe just a quick introduction, and then we can go to the issue of the day.
Okay. My name is Brenda Nyawara, as he said, architect here in Kenya. I'm happy to be here and I'm excited for today.
Hi everyone, my name is Brenda Ngoya. I'm a urban designer. I also write advocating for SDG 11. I'm excited to be here today. Looking forward to a fruitful conversation.
Okay, straight to the point. So now I think we can review what has been happening in our industry. It has been a very busy week. So what comes to mind when you think of the built environment? And by built environment, we mean there's the natural environment, the marine and the forests and the parks. And then we have what we have influenced through our profession, which is buildings, public spaces, roads, play areas, parks, and generally places where people interact in community. What has crossed your mind or your desk this past week?
I mean, there's a whole discussion and dialogue around the National Building Code.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many articles still talking about which professions should be included. I've seen people advocating for, campaigning for. And so I think that's also something worth talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
On my side, I think of the recent fires in Toy Market, the frequent fires that has been happening over the years. That question us our disaster management, if we even have a department under that. If first of all, I don't think I've been as an urban designer, I don't think I've been trained as a disaster manager, and that's something that is important. Yeah.
Do you reckon the fires are spontaneous or they are planned?
In some articles, they say there are plans. They're set to maybe get rid of the market completely for other developers to come in.
Okay.
But I think,
Is that not a very crude way of doing things? Because, I mean, there should be a methodology of bringing new players into a market space.
Yeah.
Because a market is an economic space, okay? We have operators, you have buyers and you have sellers.
Yeah.
And if I'm on a journey to go to the market and I meet this news that the market has burnt down, the question is, are we not able to anticipate fires in market spaces? What are the triggers? Like within the built, should this be something within the ambit of the built industry professionals, or should it be something left to the vendors in the market, or should it be something handled by the county government? Because I remember in the news, I think the governor showed up and the vendors were opposed to his presence, if I read the news right. So the question then becomes, why do we have this gray area where I think they interchanged, it's either Toy Market or Gikomba
Market,
or Kibra or something.
Yeah.
Is it that we are out of depth in terms of disaster management in general? Because a fire is a disaster just like a flood. So when it floods, we are unprepared.
When it's fire, we also
when there's fire, we are prepared.
Yeah.
The question then becomes, what will happen when there's an earthquake?
We hope it doesn't happen.
But hope is not a strategy.
Yeah, because our buildings are falling even without earthquakes.
Yeah.
So we have many professions. We have architects, engineers, urban planners, interior designers, construction managers, project managers. We have real estate agents. We have surveyors. We have town planners.
Landscape architects.
We have landscape architects. We have all these are professionals in the built industry.
Yes.
Who is best placed to help us, or to help the city, or to help the vendors? Who is best, in your view, who is best placed to help intervene or prepare or help the country generally to anticipate and mitigate these things? Who is best prepared, or do we leave it to politicians?
Urban planning, good.
Yeah.
I was going to say
But
everyone.
she said they don't train urban planners.
Actually, I'm saying under our course, they need to consider a disaster management course. That is not there. That's a gap. That we have identified. Yeah,
there's a knowledge gap there.
Yeah.
Probably disaster management is taught under construction management. I'm not so sure. But also interior designers. I mean, they're the ones who determine what kind of furniture and indoor materials are put in a building, because fires start inside, right? So are they fire resistant? Like they would also have an add. Like they would be giving knowledge on what materials are supposed to be fire resistant, because buildings don't burn from the outside in.
They might.
They might actually.
Okay. Yeah. In our case, what happens normally?
So now let me say why I say they might. Where do we see fire hydrants? Like when you are approaching a building, where do you likely see fire hydrants? Most of them are always mounted near the entrance or near the exits. And if it's a petrol station, which is an open air structure, for example, it's necessarily outside, except for the little shop on the side. But my view is this. We should all be prepared towards this threat, because it's a threat to life, property, and we are all stakeholders in these things.
Yeah.
So, and I think the fact that we have a building code, and now if we embrace the building code fully with the intentions that the drafters had, now the building code specifies the nature of material. For example, if it is a door, if it is a partition that is made of glass, that's a likely source of a disaster. Because if you run into the glass, because it is not visible on your path, then it says the building code has provisions to mitigate against that. So I think this problem might begin to go away if we fully embrace the building code, because we will specify doors that will not break down after certain hours. We will say the exit door must be of a certain width.
Yes.
Because the other issue when we have these fires is failure of rescue operations.
Yeah, we don't even abide by where the building code specifies having fire escape staircases, fire escape windows, even the materials, of course, being used, and also what you call meeting points.
Yes.
In a building, you're
case
supposed
of-
to have
yes.
all of that, but we don't normally follow that.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, how many fire stations do we have in Kenya? Start off.
Good question.
That are functional.
That are functional. Are our roads prepared to have an emergency space for fire?
I think the answer is largely no. The answer is largely no.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
heard a story from, I don't know whether it was Japan or which country, that if there is an alarm that has been raised, either an ambulance, road accident, or fire outbreak or something, all the vehicles
Move to the
park,
side.
they move to the side.
Yeah.
And now the ambulance doesn't have to maneuver by siren, you know,
Making people
because
move.
because people are trained to anticipate
Yeah.
disaster collectively.
Yes.
So when there is a road accident, all the vehicles, you move to your extreme, the shoulder of the road, I mean the extreme lane, to allow the evacuation of the victims.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, that's something which we should consider as a point of intervention, both from the professional side, and maybe we should find a way of engaging the people who control the levers of power.
Yes, exactly.
Because you might have good ideas.
You might. But also, I think sometimes at the point of submission for approval for a new building, you're supposed to show all the provisions for fire escape, fire mitigation.
Do they even matter? Or might just cosmetic?
They look at them because it passes through the approval process.
Okay.
But then during building inspection, that should happen throughout the life cycle of a building. They don't check whether you have your fire extinguishers,
escape routes,
whether the escape route is accessible, because most of us will lock them.
Okay.
They don't check to see whether you have added in furniture or fittings that are less fire resistant. But also they also don't really check to see if any room can be accessed or can be evacuated if need be. So even us, we don't take precaution to protect ourselves, the ones in the building daily, against fire.
Okay. So within I think you have worked with the county government of Nairobi, and I'm sure within the organizational structure, there's a department that just deals with disaster, fires, and I don't know. Tell us more about that.
There's that, but also when you're applying for a business permit, you're supposed to also have like there's a payment you make for food, fire, health, all that.
Okay.
My assumption is that you're also paying for the services, but you're also supposed to have fire mitigation in your own building, right? In your business. Every person is supposed to be ready for it.
In fact, I think many people have those fire hydrants and they don't know how to operate them.
Some of them are not even serviced. It's there, but it's not able to counter a fire. Yeah. And it's us, because the county has the provisions. County can't really, maybe they should, but they can't really inspect every single building and space. It's also us to make sure we are compliant, because it's our safety.
Okay, speaking of power, there are new CS in the field. Cabinet secretary. For lands is Alice Wahome, right? Yeah, and for transport,
they've already been confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you expect some drastic changes, or
we hope
same old songs
gets to be done? Yeah.
That's interesting. What else? The building professionals. What has been happening in that space? I am aware the engineers, there's a section of engineers that are trying to form a trade union. And we had an expert last week and I made some comments, which I hope not to repeat. But the point is, my view has been that the ethos, the training, the way engineers conduct themselves, they are problem solvers. In fact, when we have scandals, they are problem creators and problem solvers. When we have problems, we try to say we need an engineer to fix it. Or if the problem is too complex, even a layman would say that we need an engineer to fix it. And when we have scandals in the country, we normally use two words. We say the architect of the scandal or so and so engineered. So it means we have some high regard for these two professions, the architect and the engineer. So for me, I was a bit surprised to hear that they are forming a union. I would expect it to be something left to other professions, but not the built industry professions, because we tend to act alone. Like I take professional liability alone. The same applies to architects. So at what point do we meet together and say, Sasa, solidarity forever?
Yeah.
Against who?
Against who? Because you have a law that guides you, right?
Solidarity against who?
Against who?
And the song says forever.
Forever.
So are we going to do this forever?
Forever. That's also
how
the
is that
question.
problem solving?
Yeah, because if you form a union to lobby, let's say for fees, for example, or lobby for changes,
Even
let's
fees,
say in the
yes.
tender process, that's what your associations are for.
And
Professional associations.
it's your task to document how the game will be played in the profession.
Yes.
Like when you're making the rules, you can edit this part of the FIDIC contract or that part of the JBC contract and say, in this project, the employer will not give a surety bond.
Yeah, that actually
So at what point do we
answers
go and unionize?
our topic. We are literally fighting against each other.
So already you are saying we are already fighting.
Yeah, we're already fighting.
So do we jump straight to the topic of the day? Because then there is no end to the happenings.
Yeah.
By the way, there is Dongo Kundu.
Oh yeah,
it has been opened.
Good.
And I saw someone say that this is why I love Kenya. And then they said Dongo Kundu is now open to the public, you know. And it's such a joy to see the country go in that direction, you know, because then these infrastructure projects connect many. Okay.
Yeah,
so do we jump straight to the topic of the day, or?
Yeah, sure.
So we begin right where we were mentioning.
Yes.
So we have engineers. We have engineers. We have, first of all, let's just begin by the panoramic view. Like when we say professional, so when we say the building industry, just help the people understand what are we talking about. We try and name these professions.
So of course, architects, quantity surveyors, urban planners, urban designers, construction project managers, engineers, and under engineers is like subcategories of
mechanical,
engineers.
civil.
Civil, structural, electrical, mechanical, geospatial. Geotechnical.
Okay.
If you go to landscape architects as well, interior designers.
There's a software engineer.
Software engineers, are they okay for smart buildings?
For ICT. They also fall under software engineers.
Have to be counted among built industry professionals, right?
Then mechatronic as well, maybe. Rotating buildings.
Okay. Rotating buildings, earthquake resilient buildings. Okay. That's interesting. So we have all these professions and they are meant to work together.
Environmental design consultants.
Town planners.
Urban planners.
Urban designers.
I've always been commenting and saying we need rural planners. The ones in urban areas are meshindwa. Isn't it true? So maybe we should start from the rural.
Actually, under urban planning, there's a course for rural planning.
There's a course for rural planning.
Yes.
We need specialists in that field.
So maybe somebody has to choose.
Or we just split your profession again further.
Yeah.
So when you look at all this number of professions, don't you feel like the industry is fragmented, or it's just or we work in unison like a beehive, the way you have the worker bees and you have the other bees and they're all meeting at the hive, even though these ones are defending the hive, these ones are looking for nectar. So is it a case of continuous fragmentation to no end, or do you feel like imetosha sasa?
The fragmentation you're talking about is the specialization, which is leading to what we call emerging professions, right?
Emerging professions.
So it can look fragmented if we are not working together.
Okay.
And to be honest, lately it has looked like the professions are against each other.
Okay. What makes you think so?
Well, where you have let's say, in the built industry, obviously there are different roles played by different professions, but you'll find one profession ends up also taking the role of another in a project. And it comes out again where you have associations putting out statements. and they are targeting another profession, let's say saying that this profession is gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
when such statements are put out, it tells you
That's a heavy word, gatekeeping.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
I cannot imagine that one profession would be gatekeeping.
I also
Yeah.
wonder why.
Oh, is it imagined? I mean, is it imagined? Because for you to say someone is gatekeeping,
Yes.
you must have come from wherever you came from,
Yeah.
and then reach the gates.
And somebody
And
said,
then you are
tell
told,
you,
here,
no.
hamwingi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of this and this and that.
Because of this and this and this.
Yeah.
So do we have such a scenario? Or it is just a perception?
Well, I believe it exists for someone to say.
Or do we have
Yeah.
professions that are inside and some that we are feeling are actually outside the practice?
It can be, because when you talk about government tenders, they tend to outline certain professions that need to submit proposal. So when a certain profession is not mentioned, that's to them gatekeeping. The person who wrote that tender didn't think about
them, right?
Yeah. So
and
this is a problem that affects tenderpreneurs, right?
Yeah.
Is that
what you're saying?
Yeah, if you're being honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 4 professions
even
in Kenya.
Job market,
Yeah.
I think people for because I'm an urban designer, I'm not
Yes.
recognized anywhere. So there is nowhere in government jobs that I'll be listed. We need an urban designer. They list my job description. So the person writing those job descriptions,
Yes.
That's true. Actually,
is tend to.
So there's a council of higher education or whatever they call themselves that has pushed forward certain professions.
Yeah.
People have been trained for 15,
Yes.
17, 20, 30 years.
Yes.
And yet these people still feel they are outsiders.
Imagine.
Yes, because they're not recognized by law.
They're not recognized by law. So then we have these 3 arms. We keep saying there are 3 arms of government. And we don't expect urban planners to make their own laws, or maybe they can sponsor laws. So why has it taken, say, like 50 years before there's an independent standing law? Because whatever is bringing the conflict is that, look, what you have said, there's a government tender. It says we will need an architect, we need an engineer to be represented, and a quantity surveyor, and it is silent on project managers, it is silent on construction managers, it is silent on urban design.
Also interior design.
Interior design, it's silent. So the architect has to get the job and then feel like we need an interior designer and then subcontract or sublet to an interior designer. Yet these people should actually have right standing within that within the scope of work.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, in private practice, those consultants, the CMs, the interior designers, landscape architects, they're actually practicing.
Yeah.
They are involved in projects and
they
they
come
deliver.
to the government.
When it comes to the government,
that is trying to create jobs also for them.
it limits.
They are left out.
And whatever the government does tends to trickle down to the private sector. So because they're not included in the building code, it affects their day-to-day in the private sector.
Yes. Okay. Because the biggest spender actually is the government.
Yeah.
And it's because it spends everyone's money.
Actually, to put this in perspective,
it spends everyone's money.
Being an urban designer, I'm supposed to design public spaces. And who are the implementers of public spaces?
Obviously,
the government.
It is illegal for me to fix a culvert outside my boma.
So it means I'm needed for a public project to be implemented. And yet, I'm not recognized.
I get.
Yeah.
So there's a disconnect there. And
Yeah.
so you have to come and start begging the people who are recognized.
Yes.
And they feel like, why are you asking us? So that's the understanding. Because you see, if we are doing something, okay, and we are 5 people, and we know there's a 6th person that is knocking at the door. None of us is opening the door because they're coming to reduce the cake.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
in that context, yes.
So it means now is it the responsibility of the people who are inside to try and bring in this new emerging profession?
Not really.
No.
Where does
it's our responsibility. Personally, I think we as urban designers need to come together.
Okay.
and collaborate and at least maybe do advocacy and educate people what urban design is. I'm very sure a lot of people don't know. I get asked a lot, who are you? What do you do? Yeah. Maybe we try and form a bill, and this bill can be defining our roles. The bill can include all built environment profession, like defining roles of a QS, an architect.
So we just have one bill that says that these are the 14 professionals in the building industry, and these are their roles. As opposed to having 14 independent bills.
Yes, there's that, but also are they 14? If they're 14, have they been able to come together and agree on roles? Because we've seen an incident where there was a clash, last year or the year before last year, where there was a clause added where the engineers should be able to quote for projects, infrastructure projects that have to do with the engineering profession. And then the QSs are like, no, actually quoting and the BQs are done by the quantity surveying profession. So you should bring in a QS to do it. But the engineer was like, I'm the one who understands this scope and I'm the one who executes, so I'm the one who can correctly quote for it.
And there's surveying for civil works, actually.
There is, right?
And there's surveying for building works.
For building works. Same thing, let's say in architecture, we are also trained in interior design. Okay, and there's a profession for interior design. Where does the work of the architect
stop? Is this what we are calling gatekeeping?
No. Okay.
Oh, that's
possibly. Maybe that's what it. That's the thing. Yes, that's it.
If you're to trace the origin of the problem,
then there it is.
You have to pin it somewhere. Because
gatekeeping
gatekeeping means I'm preventing you from doing your job
because I
want to. I'm greedy.
Another perspective is we don't have a very large clientele. Like there are few people who use professions in building. Maybe the people who are taking our jobs is actually the local fundis, because we as architects, we as professionals,
you are the ones not taking your jobs. You know, if you leave a piece of cake unattended, where people work on a jar, obviously the cake will be eaten. So is it that you are not aggressive enough to take your pie and you're leaving it to whoever is willing to?
It can be, but maybe we can start by doing advocacy, educating people why you need an architect, an urban designer, an urban planner in your project. I think there's some association doing that, trying to go into residential area, like, include an architect in your project. So I think we need to do better.
So it means we've left it to people who have already built to whisper to people who are planning to build. That's by the way, but if you're planning to build, please include an urban designer. Is that the case? Okay. So the issue of so there's a part, this is my opinion, there's a part I see in all our professions. And now look, for every profession, like the old ones, architecture, quantity surveying, engineering, there's an act of parliament. Then there is
planning as well.
Even planning, there's an act of parliament. Then there is a code of conduct. Now, in the code of conduct, there is input that is very personal. You know, let me tell you what I mean by personal. There's a time, one county in Western Kenya, I will not say the name, they had this budgeting process and someone allocated funds for just fighting pornography within the county. And we started asking, is this a very personal problem or is it actually a problem? Because the county in general had very many people who are not even connected to the internet. But yet there's an officer who is near the budget making process, allocating funds, for example, for fighting tsetsefly, and there's no tsetsefly in that region. Now let's go back to our conversation. There is the act of parliament, then there is the code of conduct, then there is the construction document that you use to conduct business. So within the code of conduct, there are certain provisions. For example, in architecture and quantity surveying, they say that you shall not have your name, the lettering of your name outside your door. The font size is specified. It cannot be above. So you are not allowed to shout. You're not allowed to shout. Okay.
Even on the signboard.
Even on the signboard, the font should be, someone must be within, if you have an eye problem. Like if a car is driving by, they may not be able to read your name. It's almost like the profession has trained us to hide.
Okay.
Yeah.
The profession has trained us
new.
to hide.
Mhm.
And I see this in real life. I have formed a small group, Mjengo Hub. It's generally for everyone. Just come and say your issues. No one is trying to gatekeep or take your job. Nobody speaks. So we have this oath of silence
Yeah,
built
that
within
I
our
agree.
profession.
That I agree. I think it's a Kenyan thing.
Yeah.
It's something we have. We don't like commenting on things. I had an experience. There's a Dutch architect who came to Kenya and he was posting more about architecture of Kenya and nobody used to comment on it. So like, why? This is a place to critique. I'm open to suggestion,
Yes,
but
yes.
people
Is it the same one who was saying, who is this architect who has designed all these buildings?
Because they all look the same.
Because they all look the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I feel like people have their own small cocoons.
Okay.
And whenever we even call for barazas to come and discuss, people would not show up or would come and not, maybe try to be very prime and proper. No one wants to say, I've had no projects in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
We all want to come and say, I have a project coming up.
Oh, yeah.
It's an ego thing as well.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, are there areas where these professions can collaborate? Because let me pose the question this way. Let me pose the question this way. We have a client, one client, let's say for a mall. Someone wants to build a mall. Okay? And the client is open to, the client has to reach to one person. They will reach out to an engineer. The engineer has to have the grace to reach out to the other professions.
Yeah.
Or they will reach out to the architect. Then the architect must have the grace. But if it's a small residential project, when you try to bring in all the professions that are needed, you already blow 20% of the budget of the client.
Yes.
Now, where is this problem originating? Because this is the venue for collaborating, but our codes of conduct have already warned us. We already have prior warning. Unlike other professions where lazima ufanye makosa, ndio upate warning. As we are warned in advance, we're told if you charge less than X, for example, architects, if you charge less than 6, is it 6.5%?
6%.
So if a project is 100 million, if you charge less than 6 million, you are undercharging, and therefore you are undercharging, and therefore you are misconducting yourself as a professional.
Yes.
And what does professional misconduct mean? That you are in bad standing.
And you can lose your license.
And you can lose your license. Yes. And you need to be called to a disciplinary committee and be disciplined.
That's an interesting conversation. Since it brings back to, do we really need regulations for our profession? Because they limit us. They also limit us. Because me as an urban designer, I don't think if there was a profession body that maybe I need to register from, I could be comfortably calling myself urban designer. There could be roles like I need to have graduated maybe 5 years, practiced for this amount of years, and work here, and here.
So do they limit or do they promote?
Yes.
Do they limit or because let's think about the problem I posed. So I've gotten the architect, she's charged 6%. Urban designer, let's say you charge 2%. QS, I charge 3%. Assuming you have a code, I have a code. If I charge below 3%, I'm misconducting myself. But the site we are trying to build is a slopey site and is prone to mudslide. So we need a geotechnical engineer, geotechnical surveyor. When I go to the geotechnical surveyor, they say you will pay me 3%. So already we are above 10% of the budget of the client. So if the project cost maybe 10 million, we are already blowing before groundbreaking. So now you see these emerging professions also want to have their own code of conduct with their own minimum fees below which it's misconduct. So is the structure of our professions or is the structure of the cage we have created around our professions inhibiting us from even cooperating? Because I know if I bring in the geotechnical engineer, the client will throw all of us out.
That's that, but it's a requirement.
Okay.
It's a requirement.
Okay. Right? But it is not our role to boost the budget of the client.
But it's a place prone to landslides.
Okay.
You have to have the geospatial survey.
Okay.
Right? Okay. But also let me go back to where you said about the fees of a project, if you bring in everyone, going up to maybe 20% of the project cost.
Yes.
If that's the value of what you're getting, that's the value of the professions that you're paying for.
So we must stick to the code and say that these are the reducible minimums.
Yes, because we have really undervalued our profession.
Okay.
We're talking about how in the medical profession, how much of your medical fees are part of consultants' costs versus the actual treatment.
Yes.
You pay good value, a good percentage that goes to the consultant.
A doctor can recommend generic tablets.
Yes,
that cost almost nothing.
Yes, yet but you've paid for the consultation.
Taken a loan to pay for the consultation.
Right?
Okay.
And so us trying to be cheaper, it means we are saying that the guys who are giving value to your project should be reduced. Therefore, that
the quality
doesn't
of work
exist, quality of work to be reduced.
Okay.
And yet the client has enough money to build, but not to pay consultants.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
How?
So one way now, Brenda posed a question.
Yeah.
You asked why is it that our jobs are being done by other people?
Yeah.
And you see, listen, a market is a space that has economic operators.
Yeah.
It has buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
So we in the profession, who are the insiders, we give the client a fee proposal. It is taking 20% of their cost of 10%. Let's be fair, 10%.
Yeah.
And the law, the NCA Act, allows a skilled laborer to build a simple residential house. You know that? It allows.
Oh, it does.
Like a skilled laborer can register a project and actually build.
Register as a contractor?
As a contractor.
Okay.
And actually build.
Okay.
And they are like, and you see the way these professions work is like this. Let's say the senior most profession is architecture because you take 6 years.
Dangerous word.
By the year.
Is it a senior most?
That's a point of
confusion.
And I'm an architect. I would not say senior most because now we are. It's a
Go to a
problem.
hotel, Brenda,
It's a problem
you are
when you
paying
say
the
senior
bill.
most.
I cannot insubordinate
I'm
you.
not paying the bill.
You
because-
are, I cannot
Engineers
insubordinate
paying the
the
charge.
architect.
No.
Engineers
Because
pay
look
the
at it this way. Even if you say, let's say, it's the Borax says architects get 6%, QS 3%.
It's high.
But no, because the amount of time the architect will spend on the project could be double the amount of time the QS is spending on the project.
Okay.
So the QS is doing 3 projects at the same time. The architect is doing that 1 project. So
But,
it could be anyone.
We all agree that quantity surveyors and engineers cannot insubordinate an architect. So mkubali your seniority.
they're so different. You can't say a banana cannot be an orange. they're so different.
So to my point. So anyway, when we come together and we say this is the project team, and the client now receives that as an offer, they are bound to work with unregistered persons if they feel.
It's
Because
expensive.
think about the cost of a house. Let's say a
Agreed.
house costs 10 million. How many people in Kenya are able to handle that kind of money as an income from whatever source? There are very few.
Yes.
Less than 10%. I don't know. It's a guess. There are very few. So when you tell someone to give you 10% of 10 million, they're giving you not a month's wage. They're giving you an annual wage. Let's say they saved for 10 years 1 million. So you're telling them, because this is how clients think, that you're telling them they give you the return on their labor for a year.
Okay.
It's different from insurance. It's different from medical, because for medical, there is game theory there. There's gaming.
Yeah.
It's like road insurance, you know?
Yeah.
A few people may get accidents and they'll be covered. But
I
for
get
building a
that.
house, it is real sweat.
Yes. Why should their sweat, the money from their sweat, be valued? Yet I'm also sweating doing your work.
Okay.
I should earn the money as well. And something else.
The sweating is on all sides.
But
The
something
sweating
else.
is on both sides.
Something else I learned
agree.
from a friend of mine, an
Strawberry,
architect,
yes.
Stephen Luther. He said, you hiring consultants and paying money on consultants actually saves you money on the construction project.
Oh, yes, that is
because you don't save on consultants' fees, you save on the actual construction.
Okay. I have another point of view of handling that, because that's an area of conflict where we are trying to negotiate fees with the client. So it's an area of conflict, and we need to have a common perspective for agreement.
Yeah.
So that you do not say, you don't run behind my back and tell the client, I know another cheaper. Because where do these things originate? See, it it is within the profession.
Yeah.
So this is my other perspective on the same. I normally say that if you want to save money, you should actually open a savings account. You open a savings account, then save money.
Save there.
When it is enough.
Not at my expense.
No. You can't save money when I'm quoting for my service.
Exactly.
Because when I'm quoting, it means I'm quoting to spend your money
Exactly.
on your project.
On your project, that you will
And
end up.
then
That's my time.
Yeah.
So for me, the argument I have always raised is this. The best way to save money in construction is to open a bank account.
Yes.
You open a bank account, then you save as much as you would like to
Save
spend.
enough
I
to
hope
pay
you tell
me.
that to your clients.
I do.
Yes.
And it makes sense.
Tell them to save for a longer period so they can afford
Because
to pay you as well.
the moment you become irrational at any point of the conversation,
Mhm.
it will come back to bite you.
Mhm.
Because you see, one, you cannot cough your own cement.
Mhm.
You don't manufacture your own steel.
Yeah.
Oh,
You are not
but
a tradesperson.
they pay well for their materials.
So the thing is,
they want
by the
quality.
way,
They want quality materials.
Yeah.
so we should have this common understanding
Mm.
that people who want to save money in construction, first of all, should
Open.
save
Open a bank account.
at the bank account or at the SACCO
Or a money market.
Yes.
or a money market
Or a mattress.
something. Or a
Okay.
mattress. Well, mahali, save.
Yeah.
You save. If you want to save money, you save.
Save.
Yeah.
And then you come and you pick the solutions. We may give you options,
Mhm.
option A,
Mhm.
option B, according to what the market dictates. Now,
Yeah.
there's another point of view.
Mhm.
I used to, when I was early in my profession, I used to tell people that I can help you to manage costs or to save costs and all those. Then I realized I'm not able.
Mhm.
Because look, if I'm a
Construction is
shopkeeper,
expensive.
let's work with this. Let's go together. If I'm a shopkeeper
Mhm.
and I have goods on the shelf, I have loaves, I have eggs,
Mhm.
which I have procured ready to sell. When you come to buy, I can at least lower
Mhm.
the price of bread. I can
Mhm.
lower the price of eggs.
Yeah.
Maybe I have abundance, isn't it?
Mhm.
But as a profession, do you have any yard where you stock cement or chuma?
Mm.
So that realization made me see a quantity surveyor cannot lower the cost. If someone tells you to lower the cost of the building, you can only chop off parts,
Yeah.
but you can't lower the cost of any part of a building.
I think that's why people go to fundis. If you tell them, oh, I can't.
But there's a problem there,
Yeah.
because the fundi will tell you mlango is 3,000, but a quantity surveyor, it's in our name, quantity.
Oh, yeah.
So a door has 13 parts.
Mhm.
For a fundi, for a door fixer, a door is just one leaf.
Mhm.
But a quantity surveyor will tell you there is the door hinges,
Mhm.
there is the paintwork on the door,
Mhm.
there is the door frame,
Mhm.
there is the mortise lock for locking,
Mhm.
there is a door stop,
Yeah.
there's a coat. If you want to hang a coat behind the door, there's
for
a coat
proper door.
hook.
Yeah.
If it's a hospital door,
Mhm.
there is a door closer at the top
Mhm.
so that it doesn't bang.
So what you mean is the QS will actually give you what's required, what's standard.
And we tend to
fundi
make projects even more expensive,
make
sorry
it
to
more
say,
expensive,
in the
but
sense that we try to quantify even working space.
it's okay because that's a standard that will be long lasting.
Yes.
A fundi will neglect some things.
Yeah.
You end up having to come because you compromise on the door.
Yes.
After 5 years, because of banging, you have to replace the door or got cheaper paint after a month.
So cheap
you have
eventually
to
becomes
go.
expensive.
It becomes expensive.
So the cost of not having the right consultants
It's costly.
is costly.
Yeah.
Cheap is expensive.
Very, especially in buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now there's the other issue that we need to discuss, right? Now, unionization,
Associations.
like forming unions. I think it's a fail from the start because think about it this way: all the people that have unionized have never found a stable solution.
A good example, has Kotu ever achieved anything?
They
As a
have,
union?
but I'm saying the professions that have unionized, most of them, first of all, the profession has to have large numbers of people speaking the same thing.
Yeah.
But when you look at our individual professions, all of us have a private opinion on the work we do. That is why when you pick an architect's drawing, it says that no part of this drawing can be copied or stored or what without the express written permission of the architect. So the copyright of all architectural drawings belongs to architects. Now, when I make a bill of quantity, I also put another statement that the document, the bill of quantity which contractors used to price, the copyright belongs to me.
Yes.
And urban designers also add their own part, that no part of this building can be replicated. So at what point do we say that drawing for project A, and so let's say take 10 urban designers, at what point do we start carrying placards? You did project A in one place, and remember the nature of our work is that once you do a project in one space, no other project is done on that same space.
That's true.
And you can't even take over the work of another consultant without writing to them to confirm that they have been dismissed. So unionization is an absurd idea. I would understand that unskilled laborers can unionize, but even then it will not be effective because you are employed in a particular project. So for me, I think the engineers who are trying to form a union should reconsider that position, because there is no place where we come together to sing solidarity forever. If I make a bill of quantity and it is defective, I take personal liability for that. And the funny thing is, even contractors, do you know they have a copyright? Like when you make a bill of quantity and the contractor has put in their prices, and you want to award them at a lower price or at a higher price, you must first write to them and ask them, do you stand by your prices or would you like to change? Then they have to give consent. Then you can change, because the copyright of the prices in my bill of quantity are not mine. They belong to the bidder.
Okay, back to unionization. I would ask myself, what are they planning to do that the professional associations are not doing, right?
Okay.
Let's hear it.
To sing solidarity forever.
Because that doesn't achieve anything, if you ask me.
Moral
if you want to change, let's say, how you're governed, let's say by regulation, then go and change the law.
Okay.
If you want to advocate for, I don't know, fees, right? You agree amongst each other, and that's how you will be charging fees for the profession. If it's not what was already specified in the code of conduct. Like, what else is the union for?
We actually have a lot of associations. We've counted all over, I think, 15 associations.
What were they? There's the architects. For the architects alone, there are how many?
Two.
There are two. There's the Architectural Association of Kenya, and then there is the
Architects Alliance.
The Architects Alliance. This one solves its problem. It's an exclusive club. Okay. And then for the quantity surveyors, we have the Institute of Quantity Surveyors. And then we have a chapter within AAK, isn't it?
Yes.
With a whole, is it
QS chapter?
There's a representative of the QS chapter within the AAK.
Yes.
Okay. And then within the Architectural Association of Kenya itself, we have how many professions?
There are 8.
Yes. With the possibility of adding urban designers.
Before
they form their own.
Before we form our own association.
Is that a threat? Is that a threat? The union, of course, we already said this. Don't go. We do not want to see urban planners carrying placards on Moi Avenue. We want Moi Avenue.
But that's the Association of Construction Managers.
They did that.
And even interior designers, they did that.
Okay.
As a protest, right?
The target audience. So let's think about it. When these professions carry placards, the target audience is,
I'm assuming the government.
Of which we know the art of letter writing is embedded in all our professions.
Yes, but they never responded to letters. That's why they actually went there with placards.
So we need this other method.
And in Kenya, Maandamano works.
Okay. I don't know how we are built. Like, we like being shouted at.
Yes.
Our government being shouted
it's like you have to shout.
A lot of people have to speak.
So are you taking us back to the other conversation we had that we need a new set?
A new set of unionize. Maybe that's the way forward. Maybe. Because
thorax works better than logic.
Maybe because even just
for
recently,
Kenyan context,
they even said that.
I
mean. Yes. Because I think as a result of that.
So you carry your degree on one hand.
Yes.
And you carry the threats of the placard.
Isn't that what doctors did?
For the systems to work.
Nurses, teachers.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe we should go to the streets then, because
so you've convinced yourself.
Maybe.
To go to the
that's the only way things work in Kenya, unfortunately.
Okay. Because if you do not raise your arguments, you're forgotten.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a feature, not a bug. It's a feature.
Yeah.
But how
Of
do
being
lawyers
Kenyan.
how do lawyers do it? I've never seen them on the streets. Have they ever protested?
I think law
They make the law, so
They
it
make the
doesn't
law.
make sense.
So for them,
they
they've never
say
had
it's an
to.
old profession.
Oh yeah.
Together with-
But even I've seen graduate lawyers protest online about, I don't know, payment. I don't know. But I've seen them try to, were they graduate lawyers or engineers? But I've seen them try to ask for, let's say, higher pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And better terms.
Better terms, maybe.
Okay.
Some
But to
professions are good.
protest also,
So-
you need numbers. You need
Okay.
a lot of people speaking the same thing.
Okay.
So when can we come together as maybe a built involved profession, decide, oh, this is the issue you're going to protest. This is the day to go on the streets. Will people even turn up?
That's the thing.
Yeah,
We also feel.
No, you can do a one-man protest. Tata has shown us you can chain yourself somewhere.
Will the media see you?
No.
Will the
Do we have
government-
connections to
he
media
gave us
to
a
call
tip.
them?
He gave us a tip. He said that when you're organizing a protest, you make prior arrangements with the cameramen and the media houses.
Yes.
Okay.
So that even though it appears you're the only man
But
chained,
the media, they're also driven by masses.
Yeah.
If you're by yourself, it doesn't make the news.
but the
Who
nature
are
of this
you
profession is that they have few
protesting?
practitioners.
Yeah.
Like how many geotechnical engineers do you know?
I'll speak for myself.
Okay,
For
okay.
urban designers,
Yes.
I think urban design, it has been kind of new course.
Okay.
They started graduating in 2016, and what I know is only Technical University of Kenya is offering urban design on a degree level. There's masters obviously in UM and I think in JQuat. So if you count graduates from 2016 up to till now, we at Fiki, so 100.
Then there's another thing. There's another thing I noticed when I was in campus those years. When someone is studying architecture, they also do here another parallel course, just in case things don't work out. Like you find someone is studying accounting.
Oh, I did accounting.
You did. So we are talking about people who are here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell us what was the motivation? Because now you can't practice as both.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
right?
you can, because there's things I learned in accounting that help, like economics, law, construction law. Actually, I learned it there.
Okay.
But then accounting for me, it wasn't really from high school, and we were those old people who, after high school, we had 1 year before we joined the campus. So you think of something to do.
Oh yeah.
Because my argument has always been that, so do I become an accountant, a project accountant, or do I still remain
Architect
a QS?
accountant?
No, not really.
An accounting architect?
An accountant?
No, not okay. No,
it's almost like another sign. Someone had a sign in front of their door as an architect.
Yes.
And in that building there were marriage consultants, and then the guy who was doing the marriage consultants hung their sign just below the one of the architect.
So he wrote.
So it read up there, architect,
marriage
consultant, same font, same color.
I've seen that.
You've seen that.
Where someone said they are also marriage consultants, because sometimes a client is husband and wife and they disagree on the design.
Apart.
And you're here trying to, guys,
you're being a
counselor. Hey, your wife said the kitchen is like this. Are you sure?
The architect Vitruvius said that an architect must be a student of many subjects. So maybe it was through that line. Maybe people are pursuing it from that line. Okay, but I think it's also interesting, you know. So we've looked at the conflict among the professions, and we've said it is inherent in the way the code of conduct, the various codes of conduct.
Yeah.
We've spoken about the fighting, like the one you're saying about gatekeeping.
Yeah.
I'm yet to understand that bit, but we leave it at that.
Me too. I'm yet to understand.
And then we've spoken about there being too many professional associations and that pull everyone apart. Now I have a suggestion and a point of debate. So we will borrow lessons from the rural people who run hospitals in rural Kenya. They have an organization, an umbrella organization called RUPA, rural and urban areas practitioners, like something to bring together all people running private clinics, private hospitals.
Oh, yeah, nice. Okay.
Rural and urban areas, private hospital Association, Rural and Urban Areas Private Hospital Association.
Could they just say Kenya?
Yeah, because rural.
But that's the whole of Kenya.
Let's understand the internal logic. Then we see if we can borrow and live.
Okay.
The internal logic of the association is this. They treat so many patients
Mm-hmm.
in their own individual private hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
And all these patients are members who have these cards from NHIF. Okay? So as an association that covers all people who are treated in rural and urban areas, like semi-urban areas, they added the U recently. It was just Rural Hospital Association before. So they added urban hospitals to increase the numbers. So what they do is that it increases their collective power. When they go to the government, they can say, we process 60 billion in our hospitals, and there are delays. These 30 hospitals have 30 days delay. These 50 hospitals have had more than 6 months delay in remittance. Who is causing the backlog? So they have that stamina as an organization that covers all rural areas in Kenya. Now I have a suggestion, and I want to say this, since we are discussing conflicts. I want to discuss something to do with bringing the industry together.
We form another association
to bring
because
there's another one that's actually
let us go step
like
by step.
Another association again.
Let us go step by step.
Okay. For built-in.
Disband all.
So there's a verse that says, "How long shall I gather you under my wings, sweet chicken?" Have you read that verse in Isaiah, or is it in whatever book?
Yeah.
In the good book.
Somewhere in the good book.
It's somewhere. It says, "How long shall I gather you together?" So we said we all began from the same root. We were all master builders. Then we split it into architects and engineers and planners and all this. And there is no sign that the splitting is going to stop. Why don't we think this way? We say we have urban areas and rural areas.
Which is
all of us, we are either building in urban areas or building in rural areas. We're either doing geotechnical survey in urban areas or geotechnical survey in rural areas. You are doing urban design or you are doing rural design.
I can't do rural design.
Yeah.
You can. What is so different?
My course is urban design. Public spaces in urban areas.
It's a placeholder title for your course. You can go. You have power. You receive power to practice. When you graduated, did you do that oath? When they said we give you the power to read and to do all that appertains
to urban design.
Yes, to urban design.
Okay. Sawa. That said, you will belong to the second association, the one that is going to bring together people in urban spaces.
Okay.
Then that way, we can begin now to have common positions. Do you think it would work?
Okay. Yes and no. Because I don't think we need we do need more niche professions. It's good because sometimes you do need to advocate for things that only affect your profession and push it without having the conflict of I need not to step on this person's toes.
Yes.
But the second thing is, how often do these associations meet to have dialogue? And it's mostly
so maybe less associations.
Yeah, it has to be like a formal MOU, or it has to be like and you'd ask yourself,
can we have a town hall?
If there's and when has it ever happened, even if it happens? And not where, let's say, I am president of this association and I sit down with you. No. Where my members have sent me with these terms to come to you with these terms and we agree. How many professions should sit together?
The reason I propose that idea is simple. We have this constitution that says Kenyans have a right to certain things. The Kenyans have a right to decent housing.
Yes.
Something to do with the one that deals with built environment within the constitution. But among all our fragmented professions, we lack a common voice.
Yes.
Everyone is shooting from a memo on their letterhead.
And everyone is also saying some people are gatekeeping and they're fighting.
When I see a letterhead from AAK, I'm like,
and you see,
maybe what if we have a code of conduct as built environment professions? Like we are trying to create. No. Okay, we are trying to create happy cities, happy place.
Yeah.
If you're designing, you question yourself, is this happy? Does it make my client happy? Like having simple terms like happy applying in everything we do.
Who would draft that code of
Let me
conduct?
tell you something.
Because everyone be like, I also have my version.
Okay.
I listened to the grievance by the engineers. The engineers, what they were saying. They were saying that this is how they explain the gatekeeping. That it takes too long for you to become a recognized engineer, even after graduating.
Yes.
It takes too long. So there is a certain quarter that the person releasing the qualified engineers in the market is throttling.
Yeah, there has been that debate also.
So my thing is, my position, my proposal is this. If we have this larger body where all these organizations, there were 14 or 15, they are corporate members in this larger organization, then it can table bills.
The body exists.
Which one?
AK exists, but still there are
AK
challenges.
is in competition with IQSK and is in competition with ACEK and
the aim of why, and I'm not really speaking on behalf of the association, but in my opinion,
in your opinion, yes,
that there's need for built environment professionals to come together.
Okay.
But there'll always be a clash because when you put out a statement, you are supposed to represent everyone. So let's say this statement, if it maligns one side of your association, becomes a problem. Either you keep quiet, which means you don't achieve anything, or you speak up, which means you malign some who may not agree. So coming together has its benefits.
Yeah, it has.
But there's no utopia.
Kenyans have come together in the last few weeks because of problems.
What else Kenyans?
I mean, the
loud ones,
the
visible. Not everyone was supporting it.
Of course, there are exceptions, but then there are exceptions. But what I'm saying is that
majority.
You see, right now the emerging professions, until they gain quorum and until they get someone who understands their profession within Bunge, they may never have an act of parliament passed. You understand?
So
we need to have.
Let me dispute two things there.
Yes,
they are
please.
not emerging professions. They've been in existence for decades.
Emerging.
They're not emerging.
Okay.
And then number two, quorum. How many architects exist in Kenya? And yet there's a law governing architects. The law has existed for years.
So my argument is that the space is there. Like, for example, urban planners have no act of. Do you have an act of parliament?
Urban planners do have, but urban designers
don't have. So I'm saying the fabric, the urban fabric that needs their services is the whole of the geographical area.
Actually, I want to dispute whatever you're all talking about because first, we have all these laws. Do we even implement them?
No, we do not.
The building code has been existing since 1968. Do we follow
even
all
but
the
already you have a new one and you're saying throw it out plus the baby and
because
the
it's incomprehensive.
We first need to start implementing our laws.
Yes, the
then
compliance.
we start advocating for these other laws. We can't be adding ourselves laws, and we actually don't follow the first that we have.
Think of it this way: the engineers that were saying they are excluded, and the construction managers.
No, not engineers. Construction
the
managers,
construction managers and
architects,
landscape architects, interior designers.
Please add
urban designers.
One of the urban designers. One of the things they were saying is we are rejecting
the building code.
How many years has it been in the making? From 1968. Those are 50,
a couple of years. Also.
52.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then now. We are rejecting the whole thing. Then how will we make progress?
Actually, the question is, what's the meaning of a building code? Building is to set out standards for building.
The industry, right?
The mention was just I don't think was a big.
So you have
it's not a
so it's
big,
a misconception.
No, I think
it's not
big.
A misconception. But the way we should look at this, we should first have a bill for our professions before we
so we need
seek
an independent bill for urban designers.
Not for urban designers,
for
all
the professions.
Yes,
an act, but okay, let me not say all because
like
some
a consortium
professions.
Document.
Yes, but some professions are advocating for them to have their own, not where you have one for everyone. But also, I can't blame the building code because it can't precede the act.
Without referring to the bill.
The act.
The
right?
act.
So it's what lawyers call a legal lacuna.
What's that?
Like a gray area in law where we have no standing to help you guys. We can understand what you're saying, but we have no place to.
But they could have said an other. and required and necessary. That's a statement that you can put, and then you put the
so then
roles.
we should not throw out the building code. We should say we are amending. Let it come into force. Then we put an amendment to that clause.
Actually, they are seeking to be amended. They're not rejecting. They wanted it to be amended.
To be amended. Yeah.
Okay. So it's actually not a big problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Any areas we have left?
Did we finish on the union bit? We agreed.
We have independent positions. Maybe you can tell us your position. But for me, I'm not singing solidarity forever with anybody.
Solidarity with yourself.
Yeah. Solidarity is private.
Okay, private solidarity.
Your project come through.
Yes.
Or to baby placard.
But I don't think I can be in a position to say solidarity with myself because my type of projects require collaboration.
You can give your private position. You're allowed to give your private position.
Yes.
Would you join a union were it to be formed?
If it was like a built environment professionals union, then yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll join a union against the government, trying to advocate for better spaces, better planning, better development.
Let me ask another question. Is it mimicry? Like, are we copying? Are we simply looking across the fence and say, oh, teachers have a union, we need a union. Then these ones have a circle. Because I'm yet to find reasons to join the circle. For me, I charge fees as a percentage. And I think it's a brilliant thing. Let's think about how many things in society are charged as a percentage. You pay taxes as a percentage of income. You pay tithe in church as a percentage of your income.
Insurance as a percentage.
You pay insurance as an insurance, even the same. But for circles, it's a contribution. And things that are percentages always swallow things that are contributions. Okay, like if a guy is saving as a percentage of their income, and another guy is saving just sums, the one who saves a percentage religiously, as their income grows, even the saving grows. But the other one gets caught up in the habit of saving a fixed sum of. Okay, so for me, I have lacked a reason to join a circle.
Oh yeah,
and it's the same bag for joining a union. It is not clicking because what is it that I'm capable of independent action?
You've been telling your clients to save money and you're not saving in a circle yourself.
I do not. I do not. I intend to serve many and charge them the right percentage. That one, the boat gets lifted faster. As opposed to saving in the circle. Saving in a circle is like a merry-go-round with yourself.
The main aim of saving a circle is, I think, the loans. 3 times,
right?
But I do not want to be in debt. That's a fragile position.
That makes sense. It doesn't.
So maybe it doesn't. It's not a product for you then.
Okay, so
because it's the loans.
Not the target audience for
low interest loans.
Trade unions.
Okay. What was the question?
I was giving my personal position on trade unions, circles, and all these group things.
Personally, I feel like a professional association does a lot of work.
Okay.
We've seen them do a lot of work. So really, what else would you need in a union for our industry? And if they create one, let me see what they do.
Okay.
First.
Yeah.
So duplication of services.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will they be offering maybe events like how to discuss issues? That's what the
association does.
Okay.
Yeah. And then something else. Okay.
So are we outsourcing responsibility? Sometimes you could act on something by yourself, but since you're looking for a scapegoat, you go and join others because there's comfort in numbers.
And then you say the union has said.
The union has
but it is you who
So are you outsourcing? Is it a case of
maybe that's it?
Outsourcing responsibility. Because if you take a professional indemnity for your own works, liability the same.
Yeah, then you shouldn't.
And then the code of conduct also holds you personally liable.
As an individual with your name.
The Act of Parliament also says these are the roles and duties of this. Your letter of engagement says you shall practice according to Cap 525. Then forming a union then is just shifting responsibility to, like, you're not able to score goals and therefore you say the architects don't have one. It's you who doesn't have one.
They're trying to get somebody to blame, I think. Blame again,
Okay. Are we not being too harsh?
Let's wait for the engineers.
Okay. Sawa. So I think we can call it a day, right?
Yeah.
Unless there are any other issues, we can always discuss them in the next episode.
Yeah.
be sure to discuss the whatever comments we had.
Yes.
I think we did well.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Your closing remarks?
My closing remarks
Yeah.
is it will remain built environment professions should be proactive.
Okay.
They do advocacy. They try advocating for their profession, educating maybe the public why we need certain professions. So
Okay.
yeah, speak about yourself
Okay.
and what you do.
So if it's about collaboration, I think as the industry evolves, I think everyone needs to be aware that we all can't do everything, and therefore the emerging in quotes professions should also be given a space.
They should be given space,
and they should also not overstep.
Okay.
It's not to say you want to undo what a profession is. You also want a space or a position in the space.
Okay.
So the collaboration means everyone is aware of the roles, which I think would make it more streamlined.
Okay. So for me, I think I've said much, and I'm just thankful that we did this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are my closing remarks. Have a great week, and let's see how we do another version of this and respond to what people say.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for showing up.